Hello everybody, Garrett here. Over here at my mom and dad's, and it's a rainy day. We were going to be cutting some wheat, but it doesn't look like it, and uh, decided to make a video. It's not my normal kind of video. A few years ago, a lot of years ago, you guys know me, you've seen some of these videos. I've been riding tractors, working on tractors, when I say working on, as in actually working in the field on tractors since I was 13 years old. You guys have seen me running the 4010, 4430s, 8630, 8770. Recently, my brother-in-law purchased a Versatile 400. Those are big tractors. And I always considered the 4010 to be a fairly large tractor. Some people consider it small, obviously, but, big diesel, 100 horsepower. It's a fairly large tractor. And when I grew up on a little Case VAC my mom and dad had, a little 18 horse. And not very long ago, Ethan bought this. It's covered in plastic right now. Bought that sawmill. And he has a big pile of cedar logs. And no way to, obviously, really get them to the sawmill, because this little place my mom and dad have here, we got it fenced off where they got an orchard going on here. We got horses. And the old VAC, which is, I believe, a 1948 model. Don't quote me on it, but this was my childhood, and it's sitting in some weeds, and we pulled it out the other day. Let me flip you around. So this was the old tractor. When I was little, mom and dad lived in a different house, and there was a kind of a sheep farm right across the road from us, and this old cowboy would run this Case VAC. He had a bush hog on the back of it, and I've actually rode it when it was running. Anyway, mom, of course, as you guys know, my dad was a pastor there, small town. And one day this feller come to mom and dad and said he hadn't paid tithes to the church in many years, and felt he would give them this tractor. It had some issues. It doesn't have a carburetor, had some other parts going bad on it. And this was before eBay, obviously. This was back before the internet, and nobody carried parts for this anywhere around us because we're in wheat country, right? And this is little 18 horsepower row crop tractor. There just weren't many of these little cases around in our vicinity, nor parts, so they kind of just gave up on it. It was a free tractor to start with. But when it wouldn't run, we'd tie a chain to it and tie it to the back of a pickup, engage the clutch and the PTO, and it would be turned by the transmission, and we would drag it around and bush hog with it that way with the pickup. And so as the years went on, obviously, like I said, no parts were really available. As the internet came along and parts did become available, I ordered some. Come out here to find out that the motor was just completely locked up. Now, I'm not saying this tractor is beyond all hope. One of these days, when I'm old, retired, have $1 million maybe, I might take this old thing up, tear it apart, and try to free it up. But right now, after 30 plus years of setting, even the transmission's locked up. You can't even move that. So the other day, we had this, like I said, we have all kinds of tractors, but really nothing on the small end anymore. So the other day, Ethan got that sawmill. I drug this thing out and I fiddled with it a little bit. Obviously, wasn't going to do anything with it, and I pulled the bush hog off the back, which was a pretty decent bush hog. And I was sitting around thinking, what am I going to do with this? I ought to go look for a tractor. And Caleb happened to tell me that where he works, his shop there in town, they have a tractor with a loader on it that has been used about every 2 days since it was brand new to load a couple bucket loads of sand onto a truck for drilling water wells. Well, it had a bad spot on the flywheel, and so they were having to push it a little bit, rock it, and it just wasn't doing the job anymore after 70 plus years of doing the same job in the same place. So they'd ordered a skid steer, and they got a skid steer, and he told me they were willing to sell me that tractor for not a whole lot of money, under $1,000, if I just wanted to come pick it up. And so I did. So I got me a new tractor. Let's go see what we got. Let's see what we got. This is not it. I don't know what this is. This is the mom's, oh yeah, little handheld cultivator, hand-wheeled cultivator. So anyway, Noah's over there working on his 85 C30, that long bed dually with a 454. He just got a battery, so he's over there working on getting that all put together. We'll walk back here through the trees. Now I've had this mower, or in this tractor, with that bush hog from that old case put on there for about 4 days. I rode it at home about 15 miles. And they had quit using it in December. And even though it had run every day for its whole life, since 1952, you know, or at least every other day, and had been well cared for, the carburetor from December until now decided to get gummed up, just sitting there. Never ran ethanol in it. So Caleb brought it back when we bought it, and brought it back. Caleb worked to call the carburetor up. And here we go. This is the new, to me, 1952 Ford 8N with the Dearborn trip loader. Like I said, they use this thing to load basically 2 buckets of sand every day to every other day for their water well drilling rig. I come along, and this is the old bush hog that was on that case. Pulled it off, hooked it up to the 3-point. Now, like I said, working with, around, and on tractors my entire life. The funny thing is, I'm not a tractor. I mean, I like tractors, but they're not a hobby of mine. I'm not a hobby farmer. We go, you know, go out there, and if I can't do 200 acres a day, it's not, you know, a good day. So, yeah, a lot of people have asked me before, you know, why, you know, like these, why don't you study these things more, talk more about them? Well, even on like an old classic 4010, if you're on there for 12, 14 hours a day, when you come home at night, the last thing you want to do is read or study about old tractors. Now, I have a lot of knowledge on them, at least some working knowledge, because obviously every meal break out on the ranch and many years of working on them and keeping them going and everything else has led me to some knowledge on them. But I would rather study firearms and history in my spare time. But sometimes you need something like this, and I have enjoyed it a lot since I got it. Let's see. A couple things, as a lot of you know, these old 8Ns, they don't have live PTO, so you really need an override clutch. Now, I've run these things before. My grandpa has 2 of them. I haven't run those, but he doesn't run them very much. I don't think he even likes to run them. He just likes to look at them. He has 2 of the front distributor mount ones, I think from the 40s. And they will push you if you're running a bush hog if you don't have that, what I call the override clutch or the slip clutch on there. And that big old 5-foot blade in that bush hog, you shut things off, she'll just keep on pushing you through the PTO, engaging in the drive wheels. But this thing did have a bad spot on the flywheel. So every now and then, if you land in that bad spot, I just shut the switch off, put it in gear, rock these wheels a little bit, and you can get it back in the good spot. Now, these are sleeved motors, so you can rebuild them fairly easily, and I believe this thing's been rebuilt at least once, probably 30 years ago. And it has a few issues. This Dearborn loader, this cylinder has a leak. I'll have to get a seal kit for this cylinder. And I noticed it has a valve cover leak. Just little things. 3-point leaks down if you don't have your PTO engaged all the time. No big deal. I've dealt with a lot of tractors with such issues. I've learned a long time ago you can always chain a 3-point up to where you can at least get down the road, right? So that's what's going on here. I'm going to do a little work to this thing. I'll probably split it this winter because it's not real hard to do. I'll split a couple tractors and put a new ring gear on there. Probably get a new steering wheel. Don't turn my hands black, and a seat cover. But I have been running this thing pretty much. It's been between Noah and I. It's been running all day, every day since we brought it home 3-4 days ago now, and it's been pretty good tractor. So without further ado, shall we fire her up? The one thing I hate about that loader, these tractors were designed to be easy to get off and on. That Dearborn loader on there, can't get it on the side, so you got to go over the back every time. It's kind of a pain. I'm really tempted to take this Dearborn loader off, but I think my dad's kind of in love with it because he's been moving stuff around the yard and cleaning with it. Anyway, let's see if we can get this thing. Got to turn my fuel on. Turn that fuel on. It rained last night. Sometimes these old things, if they're distributors, have even a little bit of moisture, won't start. Like I said, this thing is well cared for, well maintained, but it's set outside its whole life, so. Alright, choke out, switch on, contact. Well, that ain't good. I haven't been up here for several weeks with all this rain. The Johnson grass has come back massively. There's only a little 27 horsepower tractor, and there's two big jobs up here I need to do with it. One is there's two big trees up next to that pile that are laying down, but they're not in the pile. So I'm going to take our little loader here, try to see if I can move those trees over the buzzards. Buzzards are back under the school. I haven't been here in a while. Anyway, push those trees back up in that pile, and then we're going to see if we can mow this big Johnson grass with this bush hog. Now, it may be too much for this little tractor, but what I'm going to attempt to do is go over it real high and then come back through and go over it again on a lower setting. Yeah, she's big stuff. This is going to be interesting, I have a feeling. First of all, gotta make sure I don't run over my country clipper mower that's sitting in here. I think it's over there. Oh, nope, there it was. Found it. I don't think I heard it. Alright, let's give her a go, see if we can get the spindle. There we go. Kind of come to the end. Hard to run these things when you can't clutch them. PTO stop. We're gonna figure it out. Raining. Have to take little swaths of big grass with this little tractor. Well, I had to shut her off. I gotta go pick up a plow before 5 o'clock. It's 3:22. It'll take me an hour to get there at least. But as you can see, she ain't doing bad. That little patch that's there is where my country clipper still is. I gotta roll it out of there. It ran all winter and most of the spring, and it just quit working. Put a new gas tank, fuel pump, fuel lines, carburetor on it. Still not working, so I gotta get it out of there and get back to the shop. But I'm gonna mow it on a high setting because this stuff was 5-6 feet tall in places, and it's doing a pretty good job. I'll come back first thing in the morning and set it again, hit it on the low, see what kind of finishing job it does. I know it does a pretty good finishing job if you're down low, but that cut was about a foot high just so I could get it done. But yeah, it took me about 4 hours. There's about 5 acres going up around the corner there, something like that, and took me a little over 4 hours to get through the first cutting on high setting, trying to figure out where everything's at too out there, so don't want to run over anything I shouldn't. But thus far, the little 8N is doing the job. Well, thank you guys for coming along. We'll talk to you later.